How go?
Yep.
You're not in front of the TV because that's where I'm.
Where do you want me to go then?
Next to Grandpa, on the other side of him.
You want to go on the other
Beautiful.
side?
Here,
Yeah,
I'll go
you're
on this
bigger.
side.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
We just can't stand in front of this.
All right, pick a side.
All right, say when, Jeff.
I'm not seeing it.
Just went live.
We just smile.
I'm still learning how to smile.
Oh, we're live on both?
Still learning how to
YouTube and Facebook?
Yep.
Deb says don't see it yet.
I see it.
You do. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Tech Talk. It is September 14th, and we've got a good show for you today. You've actually got 3 generations of Pellegrinos here that have all at one point or another driven a YJ. So the show is going to be all about YJs today, or I'm sure people can apply this stuff to other Jeeps as well. If this is your first time joining us, Tech Talk is something that we do every week, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we broadcast it on Facebook and YouTube, so thanks for joining us. We're here to talk about your favorite subject and mine, Jeeps. So we always allow you guys to ask questions that are watching. So if you do, just make sure you include the vehicle, year, make, model, describe to the best of your ability what your question is, and then I'll try and answer that. Debbie and Jeff are both here to help read questions. So as they come in, we will read them off. Deb, what do we got so far?
Well, looks like we've got Jeff Lone with us, Blaine Peterson,
Nice.
Steve and Tammy Bird, Kevin Kerwin, Jerome Balke, Mike Sage, Terry Runyon, Rick Harrington from Orlando.
Nice.
Esther Parrott Newcomb from Kentucky.
Nice.
And Craig Colbert, VB Tom, Albert Contreras.
Nice. Sounds like a lot of our regulars. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Some of these folks we were just hanging out with back there at Great Smoky Mountain. So that was cool. All right. Well, as I mentioned, 3 generations of Pellegrinos. My dad, my son. Jordan's currently been driving our Foreshock YJ. So we're going to have him talk about that a little bit. And we're going to go through what some of the next little upgrades are going to do. We should have probably done these already before we even took it out. So we're going to talk about that. Let's see. If you're not already subscribing to our channel, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, please do like or subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you'll see this all the time. If you're over on our website, down at the bottom of our website, you can sign up for our newsletter. Make sure you do that. And if you have our products or any of our products, please write a quick review. I'd appreciate that. All right. Lastly,
Question right off the
Oh,
bat.
yeah,
Do
go
you
for
wanna-
it.
Do you
Yeah.
want to address the question?
Sure.
Brian Kelso on the TJ to LJ stretch. What is the significance of the rear shock angle? My King 2.0 coilover shocks with remote res have just been shipped today. They're going on my 94 15-inch stretched YJ.
that's a great question. The answer is simple. What we did was we put the shock perpendicular to the control arm, so 90 degrees, and that's at right height. That's where it is, and that helps to give the vehicle the most stability. So the shocks are mounted outboard and at that slight angle, and that's what gives the vehicle the most stability. So great question. All right, let's see. Some of our friends shot over some parts from the industry, but what we're going to do is we're going to have Jordan talk about. Let's see. Oh, actually, okay. So that's our featured products, right? So BDS sent me over some new springs and their urethane bushings to go in them, and then Daystar sent over front and rear bump stops, which we're going to go over and look at what the Jeep has, and it's right on the other side of us, and then talk about why we're putting them in and go through some of that. All right. So Jordan's been the one primarily driving this. So you started driving it out at HDR, right? That's where this picture's from. We had just finished it. Yeah. We even had to do a little trimming while we were out there, right?
Morning. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about, you drove it out there, like talk about the whole experience.
Yeah, so we finished the first stage of the build that day. Literally put gas in it and drove it straight out to HDR. With,
Actually, we didn't put gas in it.
well, we tried to put gas in it. We tried to put gas in it.
It got 5 gallons of diesel.
It got 5 gallons of diesel.
It
One
was
of the
not
fuel
happy
lines
about that.
popped off.
It was not happy about
Yeah.
that.
So it
But
was
good
blowing-
thing it's an old engine that's like
Yeah,
designed in
yeah.
the 50s, so it burned that stuff no
It
problem.
was pinging and blowing white smoke all the way there, but hey, she's still good. Change the oil after, it's good to go.
Yeah, so that was a couple-hour drive, right?
Yeah, yep. So yeah, drove it out there, and then as soon as we got there, we realized the rear wheel wells needed a little bit of trimming, so we took the cutoff wheel in there and hacked some stuff out. But yeah, no, I mean, as it sits, it did pretty good. What did we do right before that? So I put in the lockers. We did
Yes.
the built 30 front end with all the Yukon stuff, and then an LJ 44 rear
Yep, with all the Yukon stuff.
with all the Yukon stuff.
And you plumbed the little Yukon air compressor,
Yep,
right?
Yep.
That was one of the
Yukon
last minute things.
compressor, did the lockers, tires, wheels, the Mickeys, the race lines.
Yeah, the
winch,
worn winch, the bumper, the rockers,
and I think that was it.
gas
pretty
tank.
much it.
And
Oh,
we
the
did an
gas tank.
in-tank
The gas
fuel
tank,
pump because it
yeah.
came with an external one.
Yeah, yeah.
So those were the main things. And if you guys don't remember, the whole premise behind this Jeep was to build something for 10 grand that could go run the Rubicon. And the idea was you had to put all your money into the right parts.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, that 10 grand included the Jeep because we got the Jeep for 3 grand.
Yeah.
So we spent 7 grand on upgrading parts. So we did pretty good.
Yeah, what else? I think that was about it.
Yeah, I
think that
mean,
was
we
about
did
it.
seats and stuff,
Yeah.
but those were over the budget. You know, it was
Yeah.
mainly the running gear
It was mainly
that
that.
was going to get it ready for the Rubicon. So,
Um,
so then you drove it on. I mean, it seemed pretty capable. You were driving everywhere you wanted to go.
oh yeah, dude, we were night wheeling, we were doing everything. No, we were. I don't know what. I don't remember the trails we did. We did pretty much everything except the waterfall up on Pumpkin Eater. That was pretty much the only thing. But yeah, Arnold and I were
Mobbing all around.
tearing it up all
Yeah.
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, so
and
that
then
was
drove
fun.
back home.
Yep. You even did the night run out to In-N-Out Burger
Yeah,
in
yeah,
town.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. Okay, so then our next trip was Kennedy Meadows.
Yep.
And I've actually got some pictures of you brought back firewood like stacked on it and stuff.
Yeah. That was fun.
That was fun.
But yeah,
And
again, just out cruising. Hit
You-
some whoop
you were trying to
trails.
race me.
We were racing you and Aftershock. Oh, that was pretty good.
yeah, we found that tree that had fallen down and had to
Oh,
get over
yeah,
the top of
yeah.
that. That was
Hoover
exciting.
and I got stuck on that.
Yeah, well, the shovel,
that's
the factory shovel.
That's the non-flat belly skin
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
Did you get a chance to use that winch?
We did.
You did.
Yeah, right then and there. Yeah.
Yeah. And basically just like drug him over, you know, and then was
Yeah.
able to keep going.
All right.
So, yeah, I think Nick was riding with you then.
Yeah.
You guys were having a good time.
Oh yeah.
And I
You
got
were able to-
video of it.
You were
got-
able to go pretty good in that
I got
thing.
some in-car videos.
Yeah.
I mean, it was rough, but yeah, we were going.
I mean, you came back talking about how you wanted to race this in the stock class at KOH.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, that's still a thing.
There is no want to.
Oh,
That's
man.
definitely a thing.
I reminded him that I had JB welded the
The
radiator back together, but it's still holding.
It's still holding.
It's still holding. So when you're on a budget, you know, you got to do what you got to do. So.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, and we had upgraded the brake pads to R1s. That was one of the other
The
things.
pads
we
and
did.
rotors.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, the rotors too.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
So automatic transmission?
No stick. Yeah.
Steve Bird's got a question for Jordan.
I don't know how to drive an
When is Jordan going to come out with a YJ grill for the Ripper chassis?
Probably soon. Probably soon.
Didn't you already do a YJ? I thought you did the Growler.
Yeah, it's still got a like TJ look.
Oh, it does. Oh, gotcha. Okay. That's
so
funny.
Chris Carey would like to know if you're going to be bringing that Jeep Friday night.
Friday.
Oh, yeah, Friday night's Jeep night.
Oh.
So yes, you will.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll bring it for you. I will.
So actually, kind of funny. We haven't driven this for I don't know a few weeks, right?
Yeah,
So
probably.
I texted Jordan this morning because it was over at the house. I'm like, hey, does this thing still run? Dude, it fired right up.
Yeah.
I drove to the gas station and made sure I put some gas in it because none of us were sure how much gas was in it.
And the gauges
It's
working
like
right
flopping
now, yeah.
around. So yeah, but it ran great today. Just
Yeah.
purred. So yeah, this little Jeep's been really good. So definitely
She gets after it.
drive it and enjoy it.
The old inline 6.
The old inline 6. Yep. What do you
Willard
got?
Hall has a question. How reliable would a 1980 Jeep CJ5 6-cylinder be? Had a few of them back in the 1980s. What about today's standards?
Well, it's funny you ask because my dad was just saying that he wishes he still had his CJ. So, you know, that's the old 4.2, which is basically the same thing we've got in this thing. And this one was converted to fuel injection. So that's the ideal because they came with the old Carter carburetor, which, you know, when they worked, they were awesome. But then they would start, you know, slowly malfunctioning. So if you convert it, this one's got the Howell fuel injection, or you can do the Mopar one. Mopar's better, but Howell's more affordable. So great option. You know, a lot of people love the CJs. A lot of people had them in their families. The only benefit to the YJ was the frame was a little more sturdy. So, and if you bought a newer one, they came fuel injected. They had the fuel injected 4.0, and then you got the option for an automatic. So, otherwise, the tub actually is the same as the CJ7. So, yeah, one of those things. What else you got?
Terry Runyon has a question
Sure.
regarding his 2018 JKU. I might need to change out my steering box, running a ported stock unit now. I believe the shaft has play. Wanting to upgrade to a PSC box. I've read that the big bore won't work with the Elite suspension, and that is what Keith said as well. On 40s, the regular PSC box is fine, question mark. I'm hoping to have full Elite one day.
The regular PSC box is fine. We've got a slew of customers running those, but I'm pretty sure I ran a big box at one point in mine. Now, I don't have that now, but I thought we did at one point, but I can double check that. I know somebody's running the big box with that. The downside is this. There's something about the big box that when you do RAM assist, so if you run the big box by itself, I think it works fine. But when you do the RAM assist, there's something about that dynamic that it's funky. So therefore, I recommend the upgraded regular JK box with the RAM assist, and that seems to work better. So there's a little feedback for you. What else you got?
Jeff Barnard would like to know if Tony's dad, Jim, introduced him to Jeeps.
Kind of.
Off-roading.
Kind of. He definitely introduced me to
Introduced you
off-roading.
to off-roading.
Yeah.
Definitely did that.
Yeah. So
Started with a power wagon.
or motorcycles, really.
Right,
Yeah.
motorcycles.
Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
We got the dune buggies.
Yeah.
yeah, we built a dune buggy and had that out at Pismo one time. This is a funny story because we were driving it around. We were having a great old time. And this guy walks up to us and says, I want to buy that dune buggy. And I said, I wasn't planning to sell it. And he goes, well, how much money do you want? And he starts pulling out hundreds.
Yeah, he literally pulled this envelope out of his pocket, and he's just
my
like,
gosh.
And I said, well, wait a minute, my trailer's back at the camp, so, you know, how am I going to do this? He says, well, just go ahead, drive it back to the camp, and we'll get the trailer and everything before you leave. I go, okay. So we drove off with the money.
with, and the buggy,
Oh, seriously?
Back to our camp.
and he was waiting there when we got back. But it was weird that we drove there, you know, with a buggy on the trailer and drove home with nothing, you know.
nothing,
It was
Right.
like,
It
well,
was
guess
weird.
we're out of dune buggies now.
That's
So,
pretty fun.
Yeah.
yeah, that can happen to you.
Build
But we
something
had,
else.
the Dodge Power Wagon that we wheeled a lot.
We did a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we
We
did
did
a
a
lot.
lot.
Of,
We
Didn't
used to
that
go to-
float out to the ocean one time?
well, yeah, I
At
wasn't there
Pismo?
on that trip.
Was that the power
I
wagon?
found out that trucks can float.
For at least for a little while. They
Yes,
hydroplane.
As long as you don't open the door, I had to crawl out of the sunroof in order to get somebody to hook me up from shore.
Oh
'cause
my gosh.
I was on the radio going, Mayday, Mayday. We're floating out here in the ocean. And somebody answered me on the
It was probably a ship like 20 miles out.
Yeah.
on the radio. And then it was a matter of, okay, his strap wasn't long enough. So I got him and myself, and we were pulling it back to shore so we could get to where the strap was
Oh
so we
my
could pull it
gosh.
in.
Yeah. And meantime, the tide's coming in. And
Yeah.
the truck was only like a month old, if I remember right.
It was almost brand new.
So he
That's
took
the
it
first thing
back
I
to the
do
dealer
when-
for warranty.
I was gonna say.
Float it out to
That's
ocean.
the first thing I do when I get a new truck too. Drive it into the ocean.
You know, it's one of
So
these things.
now we know where Tony got his wild side.
Well,
Well, I wouldn't claim it was that. So we used to, back then, there was no speed limit on the beach. There was no nothing, right? You could do anything. It was the Wild West.
Yeah.
And we would ride in the back of the truck, holding onto the roll bar, standing up, while he was ripping down the beach as fast as he could go down to Devil's Slide. So that was like a 20-mile drive of just hauling, like bouncing off these
Oh yeah.
bumps and stuff.
oh yeah.
That's where I got it, because we were like Superman hanging onto the roll bar. You learn to hang on or you'd be bounced out. And
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
We've got a product-related question from
Sure.
Jacob Amanda Davis. When will GenRight come out with the taillight bezel for the new taillights?
Is that on a jail? Is that what I
She
heard?
didn't specify.
Oh, okay. So I just ordered more for the jail. So those will be available, what, in the next week or so?
Yeah, probably 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay. So we got another batch coming in. And then, yeah, so you can get an order in right away, but I got to make sure they're active on the website, so I'll double check that for you. I was going to add, when we were talking about Dad, that after I got a Jeep, he and I were doing a bunch of wheeling together in the original Growler before it was the Growler. And we were up at Kennedy Meadows, and I had just put 35-inch tires on it. No, 33s. And we saw a guy with 35s, and we were like, whoa. Like, look at the size of those tires, man. They're huge. So next thing I know, man, I was trying to figure out who could buy mine so I could get some 35s. So, and then the same thing happened with 37s, it just kept going. You were little then.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember, but Fiore had 37s, and I was like, dang, I got to get 37s, man. Like, this is crazy. So just always going for that next tire size.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of fun. So anyways, where I was going with that was, at some point, my dad got a YJ, and all the parts I was taking off were going on his Jeep. So when I decided to upgrade from a 44 to a 60, Dad got my 44. So we just kept like swapping the parts. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
We've got a YouTube question
Sure.
from Tim Reynolds, off topic.
Okay.
2020 JLUR with Hemi. Is a new fuel tank available? If so, what do I have to do to make it fit? Is it a difficult install? I've heard Tony say you cut all the exhaust pipes pretty short.
Yeah, so basically, any of the exhaust that runs past the axle is going to have to be eliminated. I meant to check today to see if AFE or MagnaFlow had like a cat back kit. I just didn't have time to do that. I'm sure somebody offers something, and it's going to sound different. A lot of you guys really like the way your 392 sounds right now, so it's going to change the sound a little bit. But you're going to get 5 more gallons of gas with our rear-mounted tank, and it reuses all the factory fuel module and evap system and everything. So it's nice. It does mount in the rear, right where the muffler is. You do also have to upgrade or eliminate the rear sway bar. You can upgrade to an anti-rock style or just eliminate it altogether. But it is a nice upgrade, and we were just verifying today that it actually fits. So there you go. Yep, good question. Yep.
Malaki Roots, Jeep, Gladiator, Rubicon. Would you recommend doing RockShox anti-sway for front and rear, or just rear? Also, any plans to make an aluminum hood louver for the Gladiator?
Oh, wow, a couple questions there. Okay. So on the anti-rocks, if you do one, you actually want to do them both, because they're a lighter spring rate and they kind of complement each other. So try and kind of plan in that direction. Even if you can only afford to do one, definitely have that on your list to do down the road. As far as the hood louver goes, it's on my list of stuff to do, but we have not gotten there. I know that somebody called and was trying to adapt one of our JK ones, I think, on there. Yeah. Whether they did it or not, I don't know, but I'll see if I can find something on that meantime. So, yep, we're working on it. What else you got?
Deidre Kearns wants us to race it in the stock class.
Yeah. Jordan's pretty
Preaching
determined.
to the choir.
Yeah.
Preaching to the choir.
So I don't know if we covered this earlier, but the idea was to build this on a budget and go wheel the Rubicon, right? So we need to take it and go run the Rubicon, which we're going to do in the next month here. We'll figure out a way to do it. Then we're going to put a cage in it. Jordan will have to build that himself. And we'll put some fenders on it, and we'll do a couple of things to it and kind of get it ready. So, other than the upgrades we're about to make, right, we're going to, and at some point we can flip around here and start talking about that. We're going to put on a little bit heavier duty leaf spring that we just got from BDS that has military wrap on both sides, and we'll show you guys what that looks like. And then all of these really nice urethane bump stops from Daystar. So that they kind of increase the spring rate so that when you do bottom out, it doesn't really bam, and feel like you're going to break the frame. So what else you got,
Well,
Deb?
you just addressed Rod Andrews' question. He wanted to know if you had any long-term plans to put a coilover suspension on the TJ.
Yes, Jordan does have long-term plans for that.
We were
What
talking
is your
about
plan,
that.
Jordan?
When he wins the lottery.
Long
man.
travel.
Yeah, he would love to do basically our entire thing, including our YJ to LJ stretch and the whole thing. So I'm sure at some point, but we're trying to do this in steps so that we can show everybody what the steps are and what costs go with it, right? Because obviously that always increases the cost. So.
Yeah.
We did have a question from Cole Wimmer. When are you putting IFS on it?
Oh, geez.
That's the final stage.
It would be easier to put the body on his race car than it would be to put IFS in this thing. It's going to be fun.
Craig Colbert is asking how you can tell when Johnny joints need to be rebuilt.
That's a great question. So we've got one right here. So typically what I do, if it's on the vehicle, is I reach up, and if you can move this by hand, right, while it's still bolted on, it's too loose. These, when they're new, are super tight, and you'd actually have to put a wrench on here to try and move it. Or if you pop it down, take the bolt out, pop it down, and stick something inside here like a screwdriver and be able to move it. You'll see, the other thing is it'll blow out the urethane on either side. So if you see that, it's definitely done. These are greasable, by the way. There's a little grease port you can put a zert in. They come with zerts, but this one's been removed. And you just pop this snap ring out, and then you can take the guts out and put new guts in. And all of that stuff's available from Rock Jock Direct to rebuild them. So they also sell a cool little kit to be able to compress this, because it takes quite a bit to compress it, to be able to pop that stuff out. So I would definitely, if you plan on doing this yourself, get their little kit to do that. But it's a good idea to keep one or two of those little kits around. They're inexpensive, and then you can rebuild them as you find that they're sloppy. Keep in mind, I know it doesn't sound like much when I say sloppy, right? But what you're doing is a little bit of slop here, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. By the time you magnify that over your 3-foot link, is like 4 inches of slop out here at the axle. So I know it doesn't sound like much, but it really makes a difference. And then the whole vehicle feels kind of sketchy. So you're going to want to check that. Yep.
Troy Merritt's asking if you have plans to do a build to 20K and then 30K on the wide.
Yes, that is the plan. So the next step is another 10,000. So by the time we do all the fenders, the cage, I can't remember what.
I mean, is all this stuff included in that next step?
I don't know if we could include this in that, but I know.
No, it's
I
not
know
bad.
it
It's
adds
not
up
bad. I just
fast.
didn't know if this was the leaf springs, the bump stops.
No, but I know
the
it's going to be the fenders, the corner guards, and the cage for
cage.
sure.
Yeah.
Right. So that stuff adds up pretty darn fast.
Yeah.
So and when we do the corner guards, we'll do our LED tail lights, right? We're
yeah.
going to do some of that stuff. So yeah, we should probably put a new radiator in at some point too.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, I know we've got one laying around here. So yeah, but we're pretty excited about this thing. It's a lot of fun to drive. Debbie and I took it on a trip after we got it done, and that was super fun. And we drove it like 6 hours from here each way.
Yeah.
So and then Jordan drove it a few hours out to the desert and a few hours back. So plus all of our off-roading in it.
Yeah.
So it seems to get pretty good mileage. When we were up
that's
at
pretty
Kennedy, I drove it on the aired down tires down the road to find you guys when you were fishing,
Yeah.
down to the general store and back.
Yeah,
And
I think it only burned like a half tank that
yeah,
whole weekend.
it ran great. So
It's got a 6-cylinder.
6-cylinder, yeah. So, I mean, it's for what we got into it, man. It's a great little,
Yeah.
put some smiles on your face for sure.
Right.
So good little Jeep. What else you got?
Malachi Roots. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Any plans on releasing an aluminum bed rack for rooftop tent on a Gladiator? Thanks for all the answers and great content.
Yeah, that's a good question. I noticed that a lot of them are steel. I would say yes. I mean, I'm always up for kind of one up and everything else that's on the market, but I got to be honest, that's probably a little bit ways down the road. We've got a lot on our plate right now that are priorities. So, and I've got Gladiator guys that want cages and all kinds of stuff. So, including our EXS suspension for the Gladiator. So, we've got a lot going right now. Yeah.
It sounds like Blaine Peterson has an extra radiator. And
Great.
Alan Alvarez is asking about high fenders.
Oh, so that would be upgrade for this. Like if we did it, because we're trying to keep this low. I love the way this thing looks.
I know, it looks good.
So we could put high fenders on here that keeps the center of gravity down low. Oh, I know the other upgrade. We were going to do one of our flat belly skids.
Yeah.
So in the box here, actually, one of the things that I got from Daystar is the 1-inch motor mount lift, knowing that we're going to do the flat belly. So I'm kind of planning ahead, knowing we're going to do that. And but that flat belly will make a huge difference for sure, and it's necessary.
It needs an engine skid.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Okay, so we'll add that to
I
the
already
list.
scrunched the exhaust a
Did
little
you?
bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Just a little. That's not
So, and I meant to mention before you asked that question, Deb, everybody that's like putting tons of skid plates under their JL and their JT, somebody else I was just talking to was talking about how things are burning up and or catching on fire because it's trapping all the heat. There's no airflow whatsoever under there. So, my recommendation is do not over skid plate that thing, especially if you have a Rubicon. It already comes with skid plates. And if you're finding rocks under the middle of your vehicle, then try different
Drive
lines.
a little different.
Drive a little
Yeah.
differently. The rocks are supposed to go under the tire. So, yeah. And that's part of the reason that we want to take this thing to the Rubicon. I want to show you guys that it is possible to get through on a 35-inch tire. So
You're supposed to drive over the rock.
that's right. That's right. Not dodge the rock, right? Yeah. So you got it. What else you got, Deb?
Steve Bird is asking, when are the JKU corners for the new lights coming out? I need some corner guards.
Funny you should mention that. I just took a picture of one on my phone that I sent to my staff to say, hey, this is right around the corner. So, yes, Arnold and I were working on that today, and I'll...
Do you recommend they get pre-orders in, or
That's-
not quite yet?
and he's one of our ambassadors, so the ambassadors will know first.
Okay.
But I just want to let everybody know that, has not only been on my mind, we're actually working on it. So, yeah. Got to get everything converted over to our new taillight for sure.
Yeah.
What else we got, Deb?
We're caught up.
Oh, looks like
wait,
Jeff's got
looks
one.
like we got YouTube. Which one? That one?
Yeah.
Louis Napolitano, will you be coming out with a stretch YJ tub kit in the future?
Yeah, actually, I was just told after the last Tech Talk that we already have it. There's some of them sitting over there. We just needed to test fit it and edit our instructions so that it'll work for the YJ. But the corner guards are exactly the same. The frame is the same. It's the little piece that's the shape is slightly different than TJ of the tub. And but we made the original one for Jamie's Growler 2.0, and then I guess we modified it and made it even better. So that's what we have sitting here now that just need to be. So I was going to get a hold of Blaine Peterson if he's still watching.
He is.
And we were about to make him a deal and do it to his Jeep. So I'm sure he'll be happy to hear about that.
Nice.
Trade a radiator.
Yeah.
So good stuff. But yes, that's coming.
We're good.
Yeah, doing good. All right. Let's do the flip around. Jordan, grab that light, flip it around, and we will go ahead and start talking about the YJ. Whoa, getting wild. All right. So, Jordy, let's grab a couple of these bump stops and show people where they go. And I got some of these too, so I wanted to look at that. And before we get too far, let's talk about the leaves. So, Jeff, is it easier for me to just carry this to you? I want to talk about the military wrap. So, Jordan, can you point at it and talk about it? Yeah, versus the other end of that one.
Bring this one.
Well, so first off, this is what happens when you don't do a military wrap. So standard leaf spring looks like this, where it's got one wrap and then the bushing goes in. This is made of a much thicker material, and then it's got a second one that is wrapped around it, hence the military wrap, and it's on both ends. So that's important. So what we have right now in the Jeep is only military wrapped on one end. I'm not even sure why somebody would go through the trouble. So Jordan and I were very concerned that this spring was going to do the same thing as Arnold's and break right here.
Looks like it's trying to.
It's a little funky. So good thing is whoever had this Jeep before us put on lubable bolts, so that's nice. I don't know if this is urethane or rubber. It feels like urethane, but we're going to put in brand new urethane from BDS, and the BDS springs are what I originally had on my YJ years and years ago. 20 years ago, and I was super happy with that product. So we're going to replace these. We're going to swap those out for 4 brand new springs, front and rear.
And those are 1-inch lift?
I think it might be 1 inch more. Once we get these off, when they're relaxed, we can set them next to it and check. But they're supposed to be slightly more. I took measurements before. Cool. But right now I can't tell because the axle weight's hanging on it. We had already upgraded the shocks. That was in the original upgrade list ad. That I forgot, and brake pads and rotors. That we did that too. So anyways, we're going to swap out these springs here pretty quick. We should have put those little skid plates on because these already got boogered up. So we're going to have to cut those before we take the nuts off. And then so here's the original bump stop. I don't know if you can you see those, Jeff? Maybe that one. Pretty good. Up top there. So Jordan, hold up that one. So it's a little bit longer, and the shape that's in it, which you can see kind of in this one, what happens is it gives it like a 2-stage compression. So you get the initial, and then when it touches there, you get a little bit harder, to help slow the impact down. Now, what's missing here is there used to be a little bump pad here that went underneath the,
About to lose
the
the front
U-bolt's
end.
loose. I don't know if you can see that.
I think it's time this thing needs a prep.
Jeff, I don't know if you can see that, but I was just touching this, and the U-bolt is totally loose. That's sketch. Is this side? This side's tight. Yeah.
Hey, you're
not
driving
good.
this home, right?
It drove fine. YJs, by the way, are known for these steering box. There's a little adapter on here. Steering box bolts coming loose, so you definitely want to keep track of those. And this still has the little pinner steering, man. I'm surprised it made it. It looks like it even saw a rock at one point.
It did.
I see a little mark there.
It definitely
What do you
did.
think about that, Jordan?
Nope. Just heard about it.
So, okay, so those are the front ones. These are the rear ones.
Yep.
And similar in the rear where it's up on the frame. And we're also missing the pad back there. So I'm going to have to try and locate some of those. Yeah. And then we got this, which I think this actually goes on the bottom in the back to be part of that system. So these came from Daystar as well. So we got to sort through the boxes, kind of figure stuff out, and get this going. So what else? What else were we talking about doing while we did this?
The walk around?
Well, other than did you check the drive shafts and stuff?
Shafts, yeah.
No, but did we get into them at all?
Probably.
Yeah, feels okay. I mean, the paint's missing, but I don't feel any scoring.
No, not too bad.
The exhaust got a little modified. I see that.
Yeah, it did.
So that oil pan could use a little paint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more questions, Deb?
Matt wants to know if the track bar was removed front and rear.
Yes, track bar was removed front and rear. Now that does, especially when you put a more arced spring on, it can make the road manners a little bit more floaty. So in that case, you might want to keep your track bar and put it on for the street, and then you can pop it off for going off-road. Or just drive it respectfully like a lifted Jeep and not do anything crazy.
Yep.
So, which is our choice.
A couple folks have asked if Foreshock's going to be at Trail Hero.
Oh, I don't know. You want to go to Trail Hero?
Maybe. When's that?
Beginning of October. It should. It should.
See you there.
You were supposed to dog sit for me, so if you go, I'll find somebody else.
Beginning of October.
For me too.
Oh,
Jordan.
Oh.
Okay, so maybe
Maybe
Foreshock
see
will
you
go
there.
and Jordan won't, but sure.
Okay.
Maybe
got-
that. Okay, so
I got
that's who's
Steph.
going to drive the double trailer. Remember you and I were like, who could drive it?
Oh,
yeah.
so now I'm going again?
Well, yeah, you're going,
Now you're going
and you're
again.
bringing this and Aftershock. So Foreshock and Aftershock. And then I'm taking Terremoto.
Huh. And then I got to fly back to watch dogs.
No. You
They
can
only
stay
need to
there.
go out twice a day.
Twice a
true,
day.
that's
Fly
true.
back twice.
Maybe we could bring all the dogs and they just ride with you.
Oh,
Oh.
back.
That would be
Tie 'em
fun.
up.
That would be fun. Right. We got a few questions.
Sure,
We're kind
yeah,
of starting
shoot
to
away.
stack up.
Yeah.
Shane Johnson, will the LJ Tracer suspension work with passenger side drop 60? I purchased my axles.
It will. That would be fine. That has to do more with the front suspension and what you choose to put that on. You're not too far into it. You could still get rid of that and get a driver's side drop, which would be my recommendation. That's still worth money, and you could probably swap to the other version of that for little or no cost. So just think about that before you get too far on that build. What else you got?
Part 2 on Shane's question, will passenger side drop 60 work with LJ Tracer suspension?
Oh, okay, that's a different question. No. No. So what happens is that they're on that, there is a track bar and it's a giant mount on this side and you don't have room for everything. So I would definitely swap out that front axle for the proper driver's side drop. So and even more so a Curry. Like that's really the right way to do it because the Tracer bumps so deep that the top of the axle gets into everything. So just think about that before you get too far. What else you got?
Jeremy Edwards is asking if T-Moto runs a front sway bar, and does Tony drive it on the street?
Yes, I drive it on the street. It's kind of a cop magnet, but yeah, I like driving it on the street. Jordan likes driving it too. Right now it has a rear sway bar because I've got it set up for running KOH, which means it's got all the tools, the spare tire, all that's in it right now. So when I go to Trail Hero, all that stuff will get stripped out, and I'll remove the sway bar, and it'll be in what I would call light rock crawl mode for Trail Hero, and yeah, that'll be fun. So I got to keep it the way it is right now because Jordan and I are about to go out to the Hammers for testing, so it's got to stay the way it is to get through that, and then I can strip it all down and have it ready to go to Trail Hero. Yeah. So.
Albert Contreras is asking about a shackle reversal and a buggy spring.
That's I haven't heard those questions in a long time. Okay, so a reverse shackle means that you take this off the front and you move it to the rear. It was very, very popular. I did it on my YJ. It improves the ride quite a bit. You do have to have a special drive shaft made because now it really swings back toward the transfer case, and if your drive shaft doesn't have enough slip, it'll punch a hole right through the transfer case, or the drive shaft will fall out, right? That's common too. So when I first did it, I bought a kit, and it was pretty cool. It worked okay. Later on, I modified it so that the spring came all the way up here and sat just under the rear bumper, so that I could drive up to something and have that slide down the spring to get me up onto an obstacle. It's a little bit of work to do the reverse shackle, but it does really improve the performance and the ride. The downside is when you've got it built like this, the way the factory did it, it's set up so that when you hit the brakes, the thing doesn't dive. And when you do the reverse shackle, it's going to dive quite a bit. So you just got to be careful. My recommendation would be this. If you're going to go through all that trouble, you just 3-link it. Like you're putting in so much work to get all that stuff on, like just link it. And trust me, you'll be way ahead of the game. Yeah. Because now, once it's linked, as you come up over the top of something, a ledge, it's going to dig in and claw that vehicle up. Right now, you got a bunch of slack built in with the springs, and you're fighting that the whole time. And honestly, that's like where the Moab bump came up from, because back when they were going there in CJs and YJs, they were having to really bump it up to get because the springs would wrap so much. So yeah, and then what he was talking about in the buggy spring is they were doing quarter ellipticals. This is kind of before coilovers got popular. Coilovers were always regarded as like a desert, car or truck. So people were doing quarter ellipticals, which means that it's like half the leaf spring, so that it'll flex more, but it was linked. So the spring was literally just in place of a coil spring. Yeah. So, and what this did was it avoided you, because you're probably asking yourself, well, why not just put a coil spring in? But that means you had to build all new mounts and do all that stuff, where they could just leave this and let it, float. So, I don't know. It's, again, if you're going through all those stages, you just gut it and, put on one of our kits for not much money. I think our front 3-link bracket kit is $199, and our rear one's $199. They're not much, and you can get into a link suspension pretty inexpensively. Yeah. So typically, then everybody wants to upgrade a lot more stuff. So it's usually the slippery slope. Yeah. That you're actually kind of spraying like Pam on there, and you're just gonna. So what else you got, Deb?
Eric Brady, how about a stretch kit for the JK?
Oh, so our Elite suspension actually stretches at 2 inches. We kind of equalize the rear wheel in the middle of the fender well, and then we move the front end forward. Now, he might be talking about 2-door JK. We do offer that. That's called our Extreme kit, and that stretches the rear back and the front forward a little bit. And that you can find that on our website right now, the Extreme. It's the Elite for the JKU and the Extreme for the JK. So, And then of course, you know, that keeps the gas tank underneath. I've seen people not do the gas tank underneath and blow it even further back. It gives you everything you need to do to be able to do that. So, all right, what else you got?
Tommy Miller would like to know if we're going to KOH.
Oh yeah, Jordan, you want to talk about your plans?
Of course, we're going to KOH.
Yeah.
You swinging by there, Jordan?
Yeah, I might stop in for a day or two.
Or a week or two.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going testing next week. A couple more test sessions planned between now and Thanksgiving, and then the plan right now is Thanksgiving week is the last time the car will go out. Come back, strip it down, and yeah, hopefully be there a week or so early and get our last bits of tuning and running, and then.
So talk to people about when we're going testing. What are we doing? Like, what does that mean?
So this next trip, we're going to be focusing a lot on, you know, monitoring temperatures of various components on the car, whether that's coolers or, you know, literally everything.
Yeah.
Portals, transmission, transfer case, engine, coolant, engine oil, literally everything.
Differentials.
Yeah, you know, we're heat gunning all the coolers to make sure all the heat differences are right, make sure the coolers are working efficiently. So we'll run different stretches of desert at different parts of the day, when it's hot, when it's cold, basically emulating what we're going to be doing on race day. So we're going to be, you know, ripping through the desert in the morning, and then we're going to be going slow, you know, in the rocks in the afternoon when it's a little bit hotter. So we need to make sure that the car is going to like that. You know, a lot of that kind of stuff. We're also going to be out there shock tuning with Fox, so that's going to take up at least one full day of one of those days we're out there.
Yep.
And that's basically just running different sections, mostly the same section of the desert, giving him feedback. That basically requires us to take all the shocks on and off 30 times that day.
And it's pretty brutal on the car.
And it's really hard on the car because you got to drive it like
you're racing. It.
Yeah. So that's a lot of work. And then you know, once we get pretty happy with that setup in that section, we'll go run other bits of desert or rocks and make sure that it's still acting the way we want it. Make sure we don't want to change anything else. And then I think we got a few little bits and pieces that we're testing new stuff wise on the car this next trip, but yeah, test trips are very long, a lot of work.
And if everything stays together, then
it's not just out having fun. I mean, it is out having fun.
Yeah, but you and I want to run some rock trails together and stuff. So yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah,
it'll be good. All right, Deb, what else you got?
Let's see. Mark Lawrence asked how long it takes to switch Terremoto from heavy duty to light duty crawler mode.
That's a good question. So I wish I was prepared for that question. I have a sheet that I track every setting on the shocks. So that's the spring compression, you know, preload, where the secondary rings are opposed to the slider. I don't change the spring rates, I just change how much preload's on there based on the weight I'm taking out of it. And that allows me to have a certain amount of shock shaft showing. And then the clickers, I make notes on where those are at for compression dampening. So really it's not too bad. Take the spare tire out, get the mounts out. I can put the tailgate back on or not. And just really try and lighten it up, get all the gear out. Because there is quite a bit of extra stuff in there, the Parker pumper, tools, you know, all that stuff. So, you know, as you know, to make it race legal, the doors don't open anymore, so that's kind of out the window. So you just got to climb in, and it's going to stay that way forever. So, but it's not long, maybe an hour or two to make the switch.
Nick Knoll is asking, are you planning on going to 8-lug VXR axles? I'm building a Tracer LJ.
So the 8-lug is available. You just got to call in and talk to the guys. You can do that. If you already have the axles from us, you can switch the hubs and convert it over. That is a possibility. For the most part, though, I think we're going to stay with the 5 on 5.5. We just had this conversation this week, but yeah, you still can order 8 lug. It would be a special order, but it's possible. So. What else you got?
Ricky Turner, what's the main difference between the Legend suspension and the Tracer suspension? And can you do the double triangulated cross member with the Tracer, or do you lose the Tracer geometry?
You've been paying attention. Okay, so no, the double triangulated is not possible with the Tracer, only with the Legend. The main difference between the Tracer and the Legend is that the Tracer was modeled after Jordan's 4500 car, which had an LS engine in it. So it was really the first suspension system that was completely designed around a V8 engine and transmission. So the engine's moved over, it's moved down, we optimized a whole bunch of things, and then we're able to build the suspension so that it compressed as high as we could get it, which involved a shorter radiator and a few other things. So the Tracer is really that complete system, where the Legend is much more of a builder's kit. So if you say, well, I want to stretch the front end, 2 inches forward or 4 inches forward or whatever, I want to run, the shocks all the way up under the hood so that it sits as low as it can. Or you want to do the triangulated 4-link in the rear. And we made the Legend in several different versions. Again, still a builder's kit, but that you could do like a 3-inch stretch, a 5-inch stretch, 7, and 9. So the Legend gave you a lot more flexibility as a builder installer, and it's just a different setup. It's our original setup. It works great, and so does the Tracer. So just different. I don't know. You have anything to add to that?
Not really. I mean, you kind of touched on everything.
Jeff, you have anything to add to that? Did I miss anything? Yeah.
We almost need to do a video just on the difference.
I know. And there's pros and cons. Like, I would lean toward doing the Legend on this when we hack it up, because I really like the double triangulated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think in
because your original 4500 had that.
Yeah. And it's just different. I mean, you're protecting a lot more under the rear end, which is important, especially for what that car was built for, racing. If you do, cut around something and catch a rock under the rear end, it's a lot less likely to get wound up in the drive shaft, with the links tucked in. There's definitely pros and cons. I personally feel like that one cornered better in the rocks, like trying to pivot around something tight. It really depends. I mean, a lot of that's wheelbase, though. You go on and on about what the advantages and disadvantages are of both. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Cool. All right, what else you got?
Tommy Miller is asking, are you ditching the body kit? I don't know what he means by that.
Body kit?
I thought maybe you would.
Body kit.
It was probably relating to a topic earlier.
Body kit.
Are you ditching
I mean, we talked about like YJ to LJ, and that's corner guards with a little body filler piece that extends it.
I don't know.
Maybe he can
Beats
expand.
Yeah. See if he's
Tommy,
still
if you're
on.
still watching, maybe you can expand on your question, please.
What else you got?
Justin O'Brien, are the LJ Tracer corners in stock, ready to ship?
Yes. Jeff
Yes,
is
they
telling
are.
me yes. That sounds like he was in the warehouse today looking at him. Actually,
we have a set right
here. I just saw him. Yeah. Yep.
Blaine Peterson wants to know what's with the 20s over there.
Oh, right. Those are for my truck. They just got here.
Jeff Barnard, do you sell your Curry axles with HD stock brackets installed for a 2018 JKU?
So no, we don't. We actually order them with no brackets, because then the axles can be outfitted for Legend, Tracer, Elite, or EXS suspension. So all the brackets on those are slightly different. We add caster to them. The top of the differential's milled and tapped so that we put our upper mount on there, that 3rd-link mount. There's a lot of trick stuff that we've done to our axles that the standard ones don't have. Now, to back that up, can you still buy a standard, bracket kit for a JK, JL, JT? You bet. And weld it on? You bet. Totally possible. So, yeah, there's basically, by doing it with bare tubes, sky's the limit. You can put anything you want on there. So, good
Well,
question.
we're caught up on questions.
Wow.
So
How are we doing on
We
time?
got 5 minutes left.
Oh, we have 5 minutes left.
and-
Okay.
Maybe we wrap it up because we have 2% battery left.
Oh man.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
All right, Dad. Why don't you pop back over here and we'll say goodbye to everybody? Can you come on over here? Since you're our special guest on the show, can you see us all, Jeff?
Special guest star.
Yep. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. It was a real treat to have my dad on today. He happened to be in town for Jamie's wedding this last weekend, and to have Jordan on again. He's been driving this Jeep, so it's always great to talk to everybody. And I hope that we're inspiring you to get out there and do more stuff on your Jeep. So we'll be at Trail Hero next, and I'll be back next week on Wednesday. So have a great weekend.